Hello, everybody. I hope we're having a great day today. And today we're going to be watching a video that I did. It's a repetition of the audiobook, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This book was released on January the 5th, 1886, by the author Robert Louis Stevenson. Now, before we jump directly into the video, I must point out that I did commit a few mistakes in my repetitions. And we got to take into account the fact that this book has, I mean, it is English language, but it's English language from very back in the day. So I did get caught up on a few of the words, a few of the sentences in this audiobook. But with all in all, I believe that the message got through, and that's the important thing. So without any further ado, let's jump directly into the video.
This is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Chapter 1 Story of the Door.
Mr. Utterson, the lawyer, was a man of rugged countenance.
Mr. Utterson, the lawyer, was a man of rugged countenance
that was never lighted by a smile.
That was never lighted by a smile.
Cold, scanty, and embarrassed in discourse.
Scanty and embarrassed in discourse.
Backward in sentiment.
Backward in sentiment.
Lean, long, dusty, dreary, and
lean, long, dusty, dreary,
yet somehow lovable.
And yet somehow lovable.
At friendly meetings, and when the wine was to his taste.
At friendly meetings, and when the wine was to his taste.
Something eminently human beaconed from his eye.
Something eminently human beaconed from his eye.
Something indeed which never found its way into his talk.
Something indeed that never found its way into his talk.
But which spoke not only these silent symbols of the after-dinner face.
In the silent symbols of the after-dinner face.
But more often and loudly in the acts of his life.
But more often and loudly in the acts of his life.
He was austere with himself.
He was so austere with himself.
Drank gin when he was alone.
Drank gin when he was alone.
To mortify a taste for vintages.
To mortify a taste for vintages.
And though he enjoyed the theatre, had not crossed the doors of one for 20 years.
Had not crossed the doors of one in 20 years.
But he had an approved tolerance for others. Sometimes wondering, most with envy,
almost with envy,
at the high pressure of spirits involved in their misdeeds. And in any extremity inclined to help, rather than to reprove. I incline to Cain's heresy. He used to say quaintly. I let my brother go to the devil in his own way. In this character, it was frequently his fortune to be the last reputable acquaintance. And the last good influence. In the lives of down-going men. And to such as these, so long as they came about his chambers, he never marked a shade of change in his demeanour. No doubt the feat was easy to Mr. Utterson.
No doubt the feat was easier for Mr. Utterson.
For he was undemonstrative of the best. And even his friendships seemed to be founded in a similar catholicity of
good nature. of good nature.
It is the mark of a modest man to accept his friendly circle.
It is a mark of an honest man to accept his friendly circle
that he made from the hands of opportunity.
That he made from the hands of opportunity.
And that was the lawyer's way.
And that was the lawyer's way.
His friends were those of his own blood.
His friends were those of his own blood.
Or those whom he had known the longest.
All those whom he had known the longest.
His affections, like ivy, were the growth of time. They implied no aptness in the object. Hence, no doubt, the bond that united him to Mr. Richard Enfield. His distant kinsman. The well-known man about town. It was a nut to crack for many. What these two could see in each other. Or what subjects they could find in common. It was reported by those who encountered them in their Sunday walks.
It was reported for those who encountered them in their Sunday walk.
That they said nothing. Looked singularly dull. And would hail with obvious relief the appearance of a friend. For all that, the two men put the greatest store by these excursions.
By these excursions.
Counted them the chief jewel of each week. And not only set aside occasions of pleasure. But even resisted the calls of business that they might enjoy. By them uninterrupted. It chanced on one of these rambles that their way led them down a by street. In a busy quarter of London. The street was small and what is called quiet. But it drove a thriving trade on the weekdays. The inhabitants were all doing well, it seemed. And all emulously hoping to do better still.
Endlessly hoping
better still.
To look better still.
And laying out the surplus of their gains in coquetry. So that the shop fronts stood along that thoroughfare with an air of invitation. So that the shop fronts stood along that thoroughfare with an air of invitation.
In the air of invitation.
Like rows of smiling saleswomen. Even on Sunday when it veiled its more florid charms. That lay comparatively empty of passage. The street shone out in contrast. To its dingy neighborhood. Like a fire in a forest. And with its freshly painted shutters. Well polished brasses. And general cleanliness and gaiety of note. instantly caught and pleased the eye of the passenger. Of note, instantly caught and pleased the eye of the passenger.
Okay, this has been a strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that was the video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Although I did commit a few mistakes, I had to repeat what I listened to several times. But with all in all, I do believe that the message got through, and that was the important thing in the video. So thank you very much for watching, and see you again soon. Bye.